study today. Sorry we're late. We're starting in chapter 21 in Proverbs. Ryan, how's your day been going?
It was okay. Um, it was going pretty smoothly until the AC in my mattress went out, and then it became rather unpleasant. Yeah,
Baking in 90-degree weather?
the thing was just in the shop a week ago,
Okay.
and it was running fine. They fixed some things on it that needed to be fixed, but obviously they didn't do anything to the to the AC or whatever the AC is. So I wrote it up, and I'm hoping that they will put me in mattress tomorrow. I don't care which one, as long as it's a mattress. For those of you who don't know, I'm a mail carrier, and right now we are driving Mercedes mattress vans. And every now and then we still have to drive the old LLV, and it's very, ugh, it's not the most pleasant thing. And we're supposed to be getting some new permanent vehicles made by Oshkosh. I've actually seen a few on the road now at other districts, other offices. So I don't know when we're getting the Oshkosh ones, but those are going to be vastly superior to them because the mattress was not made to do what we do with it. It wasn't
Yeah.
designed for that. Anyway,
Okay.
all right. I don't want to get off. Go down rabbit trails, Jeremiah.
Okay. Chapter 21, verse 1. I just needed some time to get everything set up. Wanted to let Ryan complain about his AC for everybody. Um, Chapter 21, verse 1. The king's heart in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whichsoever he will. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than uh, sacrifice.
Sacrifice, yeah. Now, if I see something interesting, is it okay if I interrupt?
Oh yeah, certainly.
Because verse 2 is yet another repetition that we've been seeing repeated throughout the book. You know, it says every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. And other passages it says it leads to destruction, leads to death, and it says the Lord pondereth the heart. Like, what is really going on in there? What is his really true
Yeah.
attitude?
Whenever the Bible says anything more than once, you got to look at it and see why. Why did he put that in there so many times?
To do justice and judgment is more. Except that reminds me of the song that I heard Keith Green sing. To obey is better than sacrifice. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nah, no need to apologize. And high look and a proud heart. I feel like this is going to be another repeat. And the plowing of the wicked is sin. The
Mm-hmm.
thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenty. What is that?
Plenteousness, and I
Plenteous. Yes.
might have to Google that one.
But of every one that is haste only to want. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. Whoa, now that's an interesting verse. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue. So if you lied to get treasure,
Mm-hmm.
is a vanity tossed to and fro from them that seek death.
Mm.
I mean, I don't really feel like it needs much of a translation. I feel like it translates itself fairly well,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's just interesting that it covers that. The robbery of the wicked shall destroy them because they refuse to do judgment. You ever seen all these people, in the government that, are doing like lying and robbing and, embezzling and then they get
Oh
caught?
yeah. Oh
Good
yeah.
grief.
Like that guy with that recently leaked that information. He was with I forget one of the Defense Intelligence Agency. I think is who he was working for, and he was leaking stuff to the Chinese. That's a perfect
Wow.
example.
The way of man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. It is better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house.
I remember Kent Hovind used to love that verse.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I'm messing with the computer side. Do you want to pick up a little bit on that? Start at verse 9.
I was
Well,
bringing
verse
us
10.
I was bringing up I was bringing us up on YouTube so I could kind of keep an eye on the chat.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Read verse 10 for me.
which verse we're talking about? 10.
Yeah.
Okay, the soul of the wicked desireth evil. His neighbor findeth no favor in his eyes. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge. The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. Whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. A gift in secret pacifieth anger, and a reward in the bosom strong wrath. Um, it is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. Here we've got it again. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman. They're really driving that one home, aren't they?
Well, I will say it is very true with my wife. When she gets contentious, there is no winning. There is no being right in any way. You could apologize and give her everything, and it's just there is no winning. So, and I would say it's with a man, it's still the same way. With women, I feel like it's worse, but that's just my opinion. But if anybody's being contentious, if anybody is wanting to pick a fight, it is hard to win. It is hard to become on the same team when someone is being contentious. And there's a simple test to know if they're being contentious. Say they're being contentious. If they're being contentious and you say you're being contentious, they will lose it. If they are not being contentious and you say you're being contentious, they'll say, "Why do you think that?" Or "No, no, I'm not." But they'll be calm about it.
I'm not arguing, Jeremiah.
Well, but my point is when somebody's contentious, it is the worst insult.
Yeah. Can can you define contentious as you understand the definition to be?
As far as I understand the definition to be, it's someone who is like almost wanting to start a fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I figure it to mean too. It's like whatever you think or whatever you say, I'm going to say the opposite just because I want to be opposite you right
Yeah.
now.
And it is virtually impossible to come to peace with somebody and solve a problem when somebody is contentious, whether it's me or my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So, verse 20, right?
All right. Sorry.
I can read. This is
Oh,
verse 20,
okay.
right?
Yeah, verse 20. Mm-hmm.
There is treasures to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. He that falleth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness and honor. A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of the confidence thereof. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Proud and haughty scorners is his name, who delighteth in proud wrath.
Dealeth.
Dealeth.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Dealeth. Yeah, delighteth is not correct. Dealeth.
Mm-hmm.
Dealeth in proud wrath. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor.
Hmm.
He covereth greedy
Yeah.
all of the day long, but the righteous giveth and spareth not.
Mm-hmm.
The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination, how much more then he bringeth it with a wicked mind?
Mm.
A false witness shall perish, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly.
Hmm.
A wicked man hardeneth his face, but as for the upright, he directeth his way. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. I just want to point out when it comes to wisdom, you want to live long, be wise, be
Hmm.
righteous.
Yeah,
It says, that who follows God, that who follows, righteousness, shall have a long life, shall not come to destruction. I
absolutely. The
mean,
Bible tells us that.
I feel like if anything's being driven home right here in Proverbs, it's that.
Hmm.
It's follow after righteousness, and you will be relatively healthy. You'll be relatively, um, long living, because it's when someone refuses to be upright that all these things start to fall apart.
Yeah, I'd like to point out verse number 17, which says, He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. You know, there was a time in my life when I sought pleasure. I lived for pleasure. And it would only lead to just temporary happiness and then a big letdown afterwards.
Yeah. And there was a verse that was like the slothful
Yeah,
will be ended like by themselves or whatever. I forget the exact wording, but basically, I think of the homeless people, those who don't want to
yeah,
work, how they die quickly
they do.
because they don't have a home, they don't have shelter.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times they freeze to death in the winter if they're in a cold place in the wintertime. You
I mean,
know,
either that or the lack of food or just
uh,
the elements being rough on them just wear them out over time.
sure, because God did not design us to not have a home. He designed us to sleep under a roof. I'm not
Yeah,
saying you can't go camping occasionally, but I'm just saying that overall, your day to day living should be done in a house, from a house. That way, you kept warm in the winter and cool in the summer, and you've got a place to prepare meals, a place to bathe, place to use the bathroom. You need all
yeah.
that. You need that. So,
Pick
um,
up chapter 22, please.
you want me to start on Trender 22?
Yeah,
A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. Yeah, that's along the lines of what we were talking about. The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. Here's this next verse is a famous one. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, can I apply that to my own life? I sure can. My parents raised me to be a good Christian young man, and I did wander away, but God brought me back by His grace. I'm so thankful to Him for bringing me back into the fold. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is the servant to the lender. Whew, I think I just stepped on my own toe just now.
well, Ryan, if we don't allow um, a certain amount of humility when
Yeah.
reading the Bible, and it can be hard to have humility when there's a camera, pointing at your face. But if we don't have humility when reading the Bible, we can't let it change us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, the Bible convicts us in the areas where we either are wrong or we're wrong. The Bible points us out. Yeah, we definitely
And
should.
I have been looking at my own life from Proverbs. And I've realized, yeah, there's certain things I do that really bring sorrow upon God. I feel like all of us, to a certain extent, but I thought, sure, I may not be the most, avid Christian out there, but no, there are actually things I do that like make him sorrowful.
Yeah, me
And
too.
after reading this, and I'm like, crap, I need to get my life together way more than I have it.
Well, the closer you get to the Lord, the more you start to see things in your life that you need to work on. God will point things, the Holy Spirit will point things out to you. It was in 2023. Ryan, the reason that happened to you is because you committed idolatry. And that's a sin. And you kept saying, I do nothing wrong. You committed idolatry. That's a sin. And God pointed it out to me. And then just early this year, God showed me that I had created a graven image. I had a graven image that used to sit right over there. And he said, you need to get that thing out of your house. Destroy it and get it out of there. So I said, yes, Lord. But see, these are things that he has shown me as I've grown spiritually. But okay. Verse 8.
Well, to get back to verse 7, the
Yeah.
rich rule over the poor, and that second part, and the borrower is servant to the lender. I like to use slave in modern day because it's the 20% interest on credit cards, 28% sometimes.
Yeah.
Now you know why I hate debt so much. Why I have credit cards and I barely ever use them. I mean, I like my credit score being high, but I don't like being indebted to anybody.
I know, and you're good about that. A lot better than I am. You're a lot better than I am when it comes to that. That's an area where God has been convicting me. Is my finances.
Oh, yeah. Well, in America, there's lots of things we do that we don't even think about. Well, not only it's just a general understood thing that you're in debt if you live in America. Like that's just a common way of life in America.
It's normal. It's normal to have 5 figures of credit card debt.
Yeah. The other thing though is the obesity in America.
Yes.
The Bible puts obesity next to being a drunkard.
It does. Being a glutton. Yeah.
And back in like the Hebrew, back in like the Israel, days where Jesus was born and raised and everything, they accused him of being a drunkard and a glutton. They accused him of being fat. Maybe not just fat, but someone who just like way too over delights in food.
Yes.
And now we're like, oh, don't fat shame people. You're so mean. And I'm like, well, in the Bible, you're not supposed to be fat. It's just as bad as being a drunkard. Now, I'm not going to walk around and go, ha, 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 you're fat. Just like I wouldn't go around and go, ha, 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 you're drunk. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But at the same time, being fat's just as bad as being drunk.
Yeah. I mean, I've had extensive conversations about this with our brother Tim. I mean, how many times have you seen a 300-pound preacher up in the pulpit railing against alcohol? And then after the service, he goes and stuffs his face full of fried chicken.
I've not actually seen that because I don't go to those churches.
You don't. No, my pastor, he's I don't think he's got a problem with gluttony. But
every pastor I've actually respected has never been fat or a drunkard. So
So
okay, verse 8.
Verse 8. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. Yeah, reaping vanity. It's like, you're not going to, vanity is just hopelessness, meaninglessness. He that hath a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor. Cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. Yea, strife and reproach shall cease. Yeah, I mean, if you have a church or even a social group, and one of the members just loves to cause problems and start arguments, you need to get that person out of there. Some people are like that, right? We all know at least one person that just loves to cause strife. And he that loveth pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, the king shall be his friend. For the eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, and he overthroweth the words of the transgressor. The slothful man said, there is a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets. The mouth of strange women is a deep pit. He that is abhorred of the Lord shall fall therein. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. He that opposeth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply thine heart unto my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall withal be fitted in thy lips. That thy trust may be in the Lord, I have made known to thee this day, even to thee. Have not I written to thee excellent things in counsels and knowledge, that I might make thee know the certainty of the words of truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth to them that send unto thee? Rob not the poor because he is poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. For the Lord will plead their cause and spoil the soul of those that spoiled them. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go. Pretty quiet chat tonight.
Yeah. Make no friendship with an angry man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How do I put it? There was one guy I was hanging out with, and I just noticed if I ever want to not be this guy's friend, he's going to be really angry with me, and I don't know what he's going to do. And I remember having to strategically stop being his friend because I didn't want any lashback. And I wonder how many people are in those relationships.
Oh yeah.
Where, if they stop becoming a friend with somebody, they know that they would lash out. And I'll tell you right now, if you ever have a friend that if you said, hey, we can't be friends anymore, they got angry, then that's not a good person. They got to work on some stuff. They are not mature. If somebody went to you, and you got to ask yourself, if somebody went to you and they said, I can't be your friend, for whatever reason, they said, I can't be your friend anymore, and they left, and then you got angry, it means you're not mature yet.
Well, I think in my case, if someone that I cared about a great deal came to me and said, I can't be your friend anymore, I don't think it'd be anger that I'd feel so much as sorrow, great sorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have emotion. You should maybe feel betrayed. Maybe you can be angry at their choice to a degree, depending on what their reason was. You could be angry at something in that choice. Like they said, well, one of my friends said that you are a horrible person. I'd be angry at that person who lied to my friends. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
To an extent, because they're lying and everything.
Well, I want to go back.
I'm pointing out somebody who's just angry that you decided to make a decision.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you weren't done yet. Are you done?
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Well, if I can think of my own life back in 2019, going back to what I was talking about, the idolatry thing, I did experience great anger as well as hurt, and I did feel betrayed because I didn't think I did anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, what did I do to deserve that? And it wasn't until years later that I realized that I had committed idolatry, and that's why I deserved it. But it took me a long time to realize that. And so for a long time, I would look at that person because I was forced to be in the same vicinity of the person. And I would feel anger one minute and I'd feel sadness the next minute. It was like a combination. It was so weird, and, thankfully now God has gotten me to the point to where when I see the person, and I saw him today, I don't feel those emotions anymore. I really don't. I really don't. I think God has brought me out of that dark place that I was in. I was in a dark place for a good long time, and it's nice to to be able to see the person and not hope that we have a positive interaction. It's like, who cares? If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. But your happiness does not come from that person. Your happiness should only come from him, Jesus. Anyway, I don't want to get too far off base. Did you want to read the rest of the chapter, Jeremiah? Or did you want me?
Sure. Which verse are we on? Which verse?
I think we went ahead. Yeah, actually, you mentioned verse 24. So I think 25 is where we pick up. Do you want to read or you want me to read?
I can read.
Okay.
Make no friend with an angry man. Okay, verse 25. Lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. So it says, don't make a friend with an angry man, lest you become like him. Be not thou one of them that strike hands of them that are what is that word?
Sureties.
Sureties for debts.
Mm-hmm.
If thou hast nothing to pay, why shouldst he take away thy bed from under thee? Remove not the ancient landmark which thy father hath set. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before men. I got these video ads popping up underneath my screen page.
Oh, yeah, but it says he shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men.
Mean men. Okay. Yeah, this Gatorade ad. Stupid Gatorade. I always say, when an ad interrupts an important part, I'm like, now I hate that brand.
Hey, we got Dustin Buck in the chat. Hey, brother Dustin, good to see you. Slap hands. Slap hands. All right. Do you want to start with 23 or do you want me to read 23?
Go ahead.
Okay. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. Labor not to be rich. Cease from thine own wisdom.
So hold on. There's several things right in there. Which verse did you read up to?
4.
4? You read up to 4? So first, stick a knife to your throat if you have an eating problem.
I saw that.
Dude, I'm like, are you serious? I mean, so the Bible mentions several times, pluck out your eyes if you have an issue with, pornography and, stuff. Does he really mean that?
Yeah.
Would God desire that people mutilate themselves or
if thy right eye offends me? Yeah, scholars and theologians have argued over that for centuries, I'm sure.
I can't find anything that's it's metaphorical. Obviously, in my day, I think that seems extreme. That but then at the same time, I'm like, God thinks a lot different than us.
He does. And here's the thing. For those of you, these modern church denominations and modern church thinking that hell isn't going to be all that bad. Well, do you see what Jesus said in regards to, hey, you better off missing a hand or an eye than going to hell?
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. It's a very bad place. And this thing of it being nothing but separation from God, I don't know where they get that, but
separation from God's pretty bad.
even that in and of itself, I would, especially as much as I love the Lord now compared to say 10 years ago, the thought of being separate from him for eternity is very sorrowful.
Well, you got to remember what the implication of separate from God means. A lot of people think, oh, well, I just don't get to hang out with him. No, it's a lot more than that, because right now, God is present. God is the embodiment of all things good. Anything good is because God is present. When you are separated from God, you go to the one place where God isn't, and that is a very bad place.
Amen.
So people are like, oh, it's just I don't get to talk to God. No, you don't get to exist practically.
Yeah.
I question if you burn up into being consumed and just gone, or if you are.
That would be annihilation. That would be annihilation, and I think
Well, I don't know. Okay, so I'm not saying this is like the official doctrine of our channel or whatever,
Yeah,
but I've heard people make an argument for people you getting consumed
I've
in
heard that
eternal
argument
day.
also.
And it makes sense. I'm not gonna say it doesn't. I don't know. I just know that hell is a really bad place. I'm not a scholar when it comes to hell, but I know this: hell is a really bad place, and it is hot and fire. Okay.
Well, it's a place that I don't want to go to, and I don't want anyone that I love to go there.
Yeah.
I don't, which should be everybody. We really don't want anyone to go, but unfortunately, and God doesn't want anyone to go. But unfortunately, if
Do
someone
keep in
dies,
mind.
hmm?
Do keep in mind that death and perish refer to being destroyed.
Mhm.
Perish has an endpoint. You don't eternally perish. You perish.
Yeah, I know.
Perish is an instant where you are no more. So hell might be a torturous way to go where you are burned up. Potentially. And
You
it
know what?
might be God's way of like his last love towards you. Who knows? Now, again, that is all speculation. This is not biblical. It's just me spewing out of my butt. So, keep that in mind. It is very possible. It's very likely. I'm not disagreeing with anything. It is very possible that hell lasts forever because God says that he loves you no more. So why would he have any sense of last love where he says, in grace, I will just destroy you. No, he might be like, you deserve this and you will burn forever. Potentially. So I'm just speculating. I'm just pulling stuff out
You
of my
know
butt.
that
Again,
sounds like a good topic for Sunday night, brother, and a night when Tim and Jim can be in the room with us, because they have very strong opinions on that topic. You know they
yeah,
do.
and I'm sure they do, and I'm sure Tim's gonna call me after this and be like, "You idiot," you know what I mean? and
Yeah,
but
that's a good discussion for Sunday night. It really is.
yeah, and so I lean more towards eternal punishment, eternal consumption, and eternal burning. Um, I'm just not studied in that area.
Right.
It's not my expertise, and so I just know hell bad. Don't want to be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's all I need to know because I'm not going to go there. I don't need to study it.
I know. I know. It's not a place I want to be. I want to be with my Lord, and
Yeah.
I want to
The
be with
other
other
the other
godly.
one the other verse that I really want to get to before moving on is the last one you read. Labor not to be rich. Cease from thine own wisdom.
Hmm.
I, for the longest time, labored to be rich. And
Hmm.
I had to learn, and I only learned recently, don't labor to be rich. You there is no gratification in laboring to be rich.
Right.
Labor to survive. I would even say labor to be generally secure. But don't labor to be rich. There is nothing in it. There is absolutely nothing in it.
Dustin, you're going to have to do that on your own, buddy.
What's Dustin
He
saying?
wants me to help him cut off his hand. I'm like, no, I'm not going to help you do that.
Ryan, you might go to jail.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Sorry.
Human mutilation, maybe attempted murder because if you don't do it right.
Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Oh boy, do they ever. They do. You think about all these people that won the lottery and end up going bankrupt. It's very common. It's not rare.
In like less than a year.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, because they don't know how to handle money, and it causes contention within their family, and it really it's sudden wealth is not what people think it is. It's not the, oh wow.
I was seeking some wisdom from somebody who amassed a large fortune and lost it all. And I was talking to him because I'm like, maybe there's some wisdom to get from this. And he said that he wishes he never received the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say money just makes you more of what you are. Like the rich, and the Proverbs even said it itself. The rich speak openly. They're not timid about what they say because they have money, they have power, they have whatever. And so when you're rich, you speak open about what you already believe.
Yeah. Well, for instance, if I was rich, I could buy Nehemiah a real Tacoma. That's a joke.
What about me? I don't get a vehicle. Is this Nehemiah?
Okay, I'd get you a real one. I'd get you a real one. He's not old enough to drive yet. Okay, let's start. We did verse 5. Yeah, your riches, boy, they certainly make themselves wings, all right. Eat thou not the bread of him that hath an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainty meats. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. That reminds me of people who have friends, people in their lives that are negative influences on them. Hey, come drink with, hey, you're my drinking buddy, and if you remember that movie The Blind about Phil Robertson, he recently passed away, and I know he's with the Lord now. His fishing and drinking buddy came over one Sunday and said, "Hey, you ready to go?" And Phil says, "No, I don't do that anymore. I'm going to be in church on Sundays now." And so, I mean, you have to be able to tell some people that when God begins to change you. Verse 8, the morsel which thou hast eaten shalt thou vomit up and lose thy sweet words. Oh, I shouldn't have read that after what happened today. Anyway, speak not in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of thy words. Remove not the old landmark, and enter into the fields of the fatherless. For their Redeemer is mighty, he shall plead their cause with thee. Apply thine heart unto instruction, and thine ears to the words of knowledge. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shall deliver him his soul from hell. I want to make a comment on that. A lot of people look at this in today's day and age, and they think that's child abuse, that the Bible advocates it. It doesn't advocate abuse. It just...
what's child abuse?
What?
Reading the second half of the verse, if you don't beat your child.
Yeah.
Shall deliver him his soul. If you don't beat your child, shall God deliver his soul from the devil.
Yeah. And God has to apply the rod to his own children when they need correcting. And 29.
I will say, because it's in my head, I hate to interrupt. Disclaimer: there is a level of pain infliction to give to your child. For those who think they can do whatever they want, I just got to point that disclaimer out there. Even God, when he disciplines his children, does not traumatize them, cause damage to them. Like, when it comes to physical spanking or whatever, it says beat. I'm going to say spanking. Everything in moderation. So just to those who think beating your child is 100% okay, no.
Use godly discernment. Now, of course, God himself has perfect discernment, and he knew exactly how to get me to turn to him. He knew exactly the person to use, and he knew exactly how to do it. He knew exactly what my initial response was, devastation, emotional devastation. But he knew that eventually I would turn to him because there was nothing else I could do. And so God knew what he was doing when he chastened me. And he used a person that I couldn't just run away from. That's what the beauty of it is. I couldn't just run away from this person. Okay. So where did we leave off?
14.
Yes, 14. Thou shalt beat him with the rod, it shall deliver his soul from hell. My son, if thine heart be wise, my heart shall rejoice, even mine. Yea, my reins shall rejoice when thy lips speak right things. Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. You should never envy someone who seems to be living the good life, but they're not living for the Lord. You should pity them, actually, to be honest. For surely there is an end, and thine expectation shall not be cut off. Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thine heart in the way. Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. Once again, drunkards and gluttons are in the same category. I mean, I had a coworker just the other day. He was a Christian. He goes to church, and he has railed against alcohol, but then when it comes to just eating junk food or whatever, just whatever tastes good, he says, "Oh yeah, I do that." I'm thinking I should have said something, but I didn't.
I've seen I've seen churches who will kick out a drunkard.
Mhm.
Not somebody who's like drunk actively at the church, but like somebody who's a drunkard. And then I'm like, do you kick out the obese as well?
I know. I know. It's a bit of a double standard. Hey, Sevens, good to see you, brother. Good to see
Hey,
you,
Seven,
brothers. We look forward to actually. Well, yeah, you actually did come in on the live stream. Was it last week or the week before? Yeah.
uh, yeah, he came recently. I don't know if Tim's reached out to you yet, but Tim's supposed to reach out to you soon about doing a show with you, if he hasn't already.
Yes, and turns out that Seven lives in the only province in Canada worth living in.
I don't think we're supposed to allude to where people live. They should do
Well,
it.
no, he already did. He already did. Anyway,
Did on camera? You sure?
he did. How do you think I know? How do you think I know?
I don't remember.
He did. I mean,
Him talking about it. I don't remember if we were live or not.
it's a big province. I'll put it that way. Got two big cities. So, where was I? Yea, my reign shall. Okay, let thine heart. Okay, envy centered. For surely there is an end, and not thine expectation shall not be cut off. Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thine heart in the way. Be not among. I'm kind of reading a second time here. Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. Okay, here's where we should have picked up. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man. Drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. Sorry, I'm having a little gastrointestinal. Hearken unto thy father that begat thee, and despise not thy mother when she is old. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding. The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he that begetteth a wise child shall have joy, the joy of him. Thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice. My son, give me thine heart, and let thine eyes observe my ways. For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit. She also lieth in wait as for a prey, and increaseth the transgressors among men. Who hath woe? Who hath sorrow? Who hath contentions? Who hath babbling? Who hath wounds without cause? Who hath redness of eyes? I think that most of us can say yes to all of those things at one time in our life or another. You know, they that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth its color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder.
So I gotta ask.
Go
So
ahead.
those who aren't against drinking alcohol and wine as we know it today, what's that verse mean? Because I've heard the refutes go back and forth, and I'm not to be legalistic, but as far as wisdom goes, it says don't mess with it. Not a sin. It's not saying if it's a sin or not. It's just saying don't even look upon it as part of wisdom goes. And so then my thing is, if not wine, which is what the verse says it is, then what?
Right.
What is it?
And I was just going to say before you spoke, Jeremiah, verse 32, at the last it biteth like a serpent and stingeth like an adder. Anyone who is recovering from alcoholism, and I'm sure we all know people, they'll tell you that. They'll say, that's true. That verse is very, very true. because you think you've got control of it, and before long, it has control of you. And I'm speaking from experience. I've struggled with it.
Yeah, it's like holding a snake in your hand. You know, sure, you may feel like you have control, but I'd rather just not hold the snake.
Yeah. Yeah. How about if I just don't even hold the snake to begin with, and I don't have to worry about it turning around and biting me?
There was this one lady. She goes to the vet with her like big snake and stuff, and she's like, "My snake stopped eating. He stopped eating. You know, I'm so concerned for him." And he says, "Has he been doing anything else recently? Has he been like getting in your bed at the middle of the night?" And she says, "Yeah, recently he's been laying himself out on my bed in the middle of the night right next to me." And she said, "Is that connected in any way?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's sizing himself up to see if he can eat you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And like, oh, this guy's not your friend.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know who would keep a pet snake. I'm not the type of person that would. I have a family on my mail route that have a bearded dragon. It's a beautiful lizard, iguana looking thing. They showed it to me one day. And because I'd always have these crickets, I'd have a box of crickets about once a month I would deliver to them. I said, I bet you they got a reptile in there somewhere. So the guy came to the door. I said, you want to see him? You want to see my
Well,
bearded dragon?
now this lady, she had her snake out and about like a dog or a cat. So there's a difference between keeping a fierce animal caged and keeping a fierce animal in the house with you.
Yeah, I hope she got rid of the thing after the vet told her that. Okay.
How much more
Okay.
we got to go?
Hmm?
How much more we got to go to get to the end of the chapter? What verse are we on? My tab froze. I can't scroll for whatever reason.
31. I just read 31. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth its color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. Yep, at last it biteth like, because it looks so pretty in the glass, right? It looks so pretty in the cup. Yeah, but it can bite you like a serpent. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. That concludes verse 23. And I would like to advise you, Mr. Buckingham, if we can conclude our study. I've had a long can be hard days for me, especially if my AC goes out.
Yeah, we can end here.
All right.
My computer is glitching bad. I tried to open my email and it's just like dying over here. I don't know why.
Yeah, there was a time for a while there. Your video was frozen. I noticed.
Yeah, so if you want to pray us out, I'll end the line.
Absolutely. Always an honor to pray to the Lord and pray among brethren and sistren, if that's a word or not. Let me turn this light off.
Why is it always brothers, anyways?
I don't know. You don't hear people say sistren. Brothers and sisters, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, I just want to thank you for giving us your word, for imparting your wisdom to us in your word, so that we can study it and learn from it and grow from it. Thank you for this opportunity that you have provided us, Lord. And I just want to thank you for this ministry that you gave us, Lord, a ministry that you assembled yourself, a ministry that belongs to you. May us never think that this ministry belongs to us, because it does not. It is your ministry, Lord. And we thank you for allowing us to serve in this capacity. And I just pray for all those watching, however many they may be. I just pray they'll be blessed. I pray that if there's someone watching who does not know you, Lord, that the Holy Spirit will convict them, and that they will see how much they need you, and just how badly they need a relationship with you, and how badly they need to be delivered from their sins, Lord. And I just pray that you'll go out with us throughout the rest of the week. And in Jesus' holy name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.